Hello friends, so I welcome you all to this course on essential mathematics for machine learning. So in this course we will tell you some mathematical concepts, those are really helpful or those are really important in the area of machine learning, deep learning, artificial intelligence and so on. So I will start with the basic definition of machine learning. So machine learning is basically an application of artificial intelligence. So in short I will say ML for machine learning. So ML is an application of artificial intelligence that provides system to the ability to automatically learn and improve from past behavior. So we learn from our past behavior and we take our decision in future or in current time. Similarly, we want to give similar ability to machines. So that based on the past record they can make some decision in present or in future. All of you are aware with traditional programming. So what we used to do in classical programming? We are having input data and program. We feed these two things to computer and what we get? Output data. However, machine learning is different. In this what we are having? Input data and output. We feed both of them to the computer and we will try to model our program. Okay. So whatever happens in past using those past records, we will try to model the phenomena from which we got output for a given specific input. So that is basically machine learning. There are different types of machine learning methods. The first methods are supervised machine learning algorithms. So in supervised machine learning algorithms we are having input as well as output levels for some of the training data. Okay, for some of the data and that data is called training data. So based on the input values and output levels we will try to learn using the training data, and for testing or for the data for which we do not know the output, using that training or learning we want to predict their output level. Okay. So this kind of supervised learning is called this kind of machine learning is called supervised machine learning. So again it is of two types. So supervised. So we are having two types of thing in this. One is if it is on continuous, we are learning a continuous function, then it is called regression. And if we are learning a discrete function, then it is called classification. The second type of methods are unsupervised machine learning. So in unsupervised machine learning we are having only training data, means only input, we do not know about the output levels. Now from those training data we will try to extract some of the properties, and based on the similar properties of few of the data we want to group them together, we want to make a cluster of them, and such type of clustering is called unsupervised machine learning algorithm. Then we are having semi supervised machine learning algorithms. So in this we are having training data input as well as partial labeling, not the complete labeling as we are having in supervised learning for the training data. So based on those partial labeling we will try to find out label for the rest of the training data pattern, and then we include them our training data. Then we are having reinforcement and machine learning algorithms. So this rewards for the sequence of actions in this kind of thing. And nowadays very popular deep learning. So in deep learning we are having supervised as well as unsupervised learning algorithms, and there as well as reinforcement machine learning algorithms, and there we use the deep architectures of the tools like neural networks, etc. So, we are having multiple layers, multiple hidden layers, and we are having high-end processors, and using the GPU, using those we try to find out regression or classification. So, if you talk about the history of ML, it is in 1960s we are having perceptron model, pattern recognition, learning in the limit theory. Then in 90s we were having data mining, reinforcement learning, Bayes-Net learning. In 2000s we are having SVM, kernel method, statistical learning, and from 2008-9 means in nowadays we are having deep learning and convolution neural networks, and then we are having GANs type of thing, GANs. Now, this course is essential mathematics for machine learning. So, why mathematics is required in machine learning? So, core mathematical concepts like matrix theory, linear algebra, gradient calculus, optimization, probability theory are underpinning of all machine learning algorithms. Each and every machine learning algorithms are having some concept coming from these topics which I told you, and that is why in this course we have included all these topics. Those are directly relevant to your machine learning algorithms. So, we will start this course with matrix theory, linear algebra, and then we will go to the algorithm based on the eigenvalue and eigenvectors of linear transformations like principal component analysis, linear discriminant analysis, and so on. So, in first 20 lectures which I will take, we will cover the linear algebra and matrix theory and relevant topic from the machine learning. In next 20 lectures which will be covered by my colleague Professor S.K. Gupta, Shiv Kumar Gupta. So, he will take lectures on gradient calculus and optimization, and in the last week he will take the lectures on probability theory. So, we will try to cover all these topics in these 40 modules, so that whoever do not know what mathematics we are having behind all any machine learning algorithm, they will be able to get the idea of mathematics that is involved in machine learning. So, in brief I can say this course is an attempt to provide all these mathematical concepts together with some of their applications in machine learning. So, as I told you, in first 20 lectures I will cover all those linear algebra and matrix theory. So, I will start my lecture with the definition of a vector. So, what is a vector? So, for each positive integer n, Rn denotes the set of all order n tuples x1, x2, x3, xn, where each xi is a real number. So, these are the real numbers. The element of Rn are called n-dimensional real coordinate vector or simply vectors. The number xi in a vector are called the components of the vectors. The elements of R is referred to as scalars. So, for example, so I am saying here Rn. So, if you take n equals to 2, you will be having points like 1, 2, 3, 5, etc. So, what is this? This is in points in R2. So, all the points in R2 represent vectors, where first component is the x coordinate and second component is the y component. For n equals to 3, we will be having like this 1, 2, 5, 0, 2, 0 and so on. So, these are the points in R3. So, points in 3 dimensional space are the vectors of R3. So, where first component is x coordinate, second component is y coordinate and third component is z coordinate and so on. So, all these are the vectors. Individual components are scalars coming from R. So, in this similarly we can have the complex means C2, C3 and so on, but this course is more related to real numbers. So, 0 vector, the vector whose magnitude is 0 is called a 0 or null vector. First, what we mean by the magnitude of a vector. So, if you are having a vector, let us say x1, x2, xn and this is let us say vector x, then magnitude of x is given by this one and it is nothing just x1 square plus x2 square plus xn square, means sum of the squares of each component and then square root of that sum. So, this is the magnitude. So, if magnitude is 0, then the vector is called 0 vector, and when it will happen when all the components are simultaneously 0, then only magnitude will become 0, because it is sum of squares. So, all squares should be having 0 value, and when it will be having 0 value, when all the components are 0. So, in other way I can say that a 0 if all the components of a vector are 0, then the vector is called 0 vector. Standard vectors in R2 are 1 0 0 1. So, 1 0 representing the x axis and 0 1 is representing the y axis. Standard vectors in R3 are 1 0 0, that is x axis, y axis and z axis. Similarly, standard vector in generalized Rn space are 1 0 0 0 0 1 0 0 and so on. So, only one component is 1, rest are 0. So, algebra of vectors. So, if you are having two vectors in Rn, let us say capital X which is having component x1 x2 xn and capital Y which is having component y1 y2 yn, then x plus y is component wise addition, that is x1 plus y1, x2 plus y2, xn plus y1. Similarly, x minus y will become first component minus first component of y, second component of x minus second component of y and so on. The dot product between these two vectors are given by x1 y1 plus x2 y2 plus xn yn, or I can say I equals to 1 to n xi yi. Magnitude I have already told you. When we say that two vectors are equal, when all of their components are equal, means first component of x equals to first component of y, second component of x equals to second component y and so on. Also, the dot product is given by x dot y equals to magnitude of x into magnitude of y into cos theta, where theta is the angle between x and y, means these two vectors. Similarly, the cross product of the vectors x and y is given by magnitude of x into magnitude of y into sin theta. Again, theta is an angle between the vector x and y. Now, we are defining a very important concept which we will use in many of the subsequent lectures, that is called linear combination. So, let the vectors v1, v2 and vn be in Rn and c1, c2, cn be scalars, then the vector v as the c1 v1 plus c2 v2 plus cn vn is called a linear combination of the vectors v1, v2 up to vn. The scalars c1, c2, cn are called coefficients or weights. So, for example, if c1, c2 is any arbitrary vectors in R2, then I can write it in linear combination of these two vectors. In fact, c1 and c2 are scalars, they are real number. So, all the vectors in R2 can be written in the linear combination of 1 0 and 0 1. Similarly, all the vectors c1, c2, c3 in R3 I can write in the linear combination of 1 0 0 plus C2 0 1 0 plus C3 0 0 1 and so on. So, similarly any vector C1 C2 Cn of Rn can be written as the linear combination of the standard vectors of Rn. Now, my next definition is linear dependent and independent. A set of vectors V1 V2 Vn in Rn is said to be linearly dependent. So, all these are vectors in Rn. So, this set is said to be linearly dependent if there exist scalars C1 C2 Cn, not all of which are 0 such that their linear combination is 0. Otherwise, the set of vectors is called linearly independent. So, for example, 1 1 2 2 is linearly dependent. How you will do it? So, I have to check 1 1 and 2 2. So, 1 1 and then I am having 2 2. So, if I multiply this by 2 and this by minus 1, what I will get? 0 0. So, I am having C1 equals to 2 and C2 equals to minus 1 such that the linear combination of C1 1 1 plus C2 2 2 is 0. Okay. Hence, these two vectors are linearly dependent. And how you can say that 2 times 1 1 equals to 2 2. So, one vector is twice of the other. So, it means they are linearly dependent. 1 0 and 0 1 is linearly independent in R2. What I want to say that you cannot find such C1 and C2, those are non-zero or one of them is 0 such that it is equals to 0 0. So, for having this linear combination equals to 0 vector only when C1 is 0 and C2 is 0, otherwise it cannot be. So, hence they are linearly independent. Similarly, 1 1 1 0 1 1 and 0 0 1 is linearly independent in R3. So, how to check whether the given set of vectors is LD or LI? That you can find out using the concept of row echelon form. Write those vectors as the row of a matrix and then apply reduce the matrix in row echelon form. If you are having all the rows non-zero, then the vectors are Li, otherwise vectors are LD. So, for example, take this one 1 1 8 1. So, what I am having 1 1 8 1 1 0 3 0 3 1 14 1 okay. So, I have to check LD or Li. So, what I will do? I will write these vectors as the row of a matrix 1 1 8 1 1 0 3 0 3 1 14 1. So, for reducing it into row echelon form, I will make this element 0 and this element 0 first. So, what operation I will apply? R2 replaced by R2 minus R1. So, I am applying these elementary row operations and R3 replaced by R3 minus 3R1. So, no change in first row 1 1 8 1, second row 1 minus 1 0, 0 minus 1 minus 1, 3 minus 8 minus 5, 0 minus 1 minus 1. Then third row 3 minus 3 0, 1 minus 3 minus 2, 14 minus 24 minus 10, 1 minus 3 minus 2. Now, I will make this element 0. So, what operation I will apply? R 3 goes to R 3 minus 2 times R 1. So, 1 1 8 1, no change in first row, 0 minus 1 minus 5 minus 1, and third row 0 minus twice 0 is 0, minus 2 plus 2 0, minus 10 plus 10 0, minus 2 plus 2 0. So, here you can see this row become 0. So, these 3 vectors are linearly dependent in R 4. Moreover, one important point to be noticed that in R n, any set of more than n vectors will be linearly dependent, because in R n you can have at most n linearly independent vector, and why we will see it when I will introduce you the concept of basis. Now, a set V1, V2, Vk in Rn where k is greater than equals to 2 is LD if and only if some Vj is a linear combination of the remaining vectors V1, V2 up to Vk. Means if you can write a vector as a linear combination of remaining of the vectors, then we will say that set is linearly dependent. If you can't do this, then the set will stay, or set is to be said linearly independent. Now, any superset of a linearly dependent set is linearly dependent, because already if the set is linearly dependent, you can write a vector as a linear combination of other vectors. So, even if you take the superset, this thing will remain there and the set will remain LD. Any subset of a linearly independent set is linearly independent. Any set containing 0 vector is linearly dependent, because for that 0 vector you can take a non-zero coordinate, non-zero coefficient or non-zero weight in the linear combination or in the definition of LD and Li. So, any set which is containing the 0 vector is linearly dependent. A set consisting of exactly one non-zero vector is linearly independent. Now, we are having some of the examples. Check whether the following sets in R3 are LD or Li. So, first is 1 0 minus 2 0 2 1 minus 1 2 3. So, what I do, if I take the sum of first and third vector. So, 1 minus 1 will give you 0, 0 plus 2 is 2 and minus 2 plus 3 is 1. So, what I am having? I am having that V1 plus V3 equals to V2 here. So, I can write V2 as a linear combination of first and third vector. So, this set is a linearly dependent set. Next one is 1 4 3, 2 12 6, 5 21 15 0 2 minus 1. So, these are the vectors in R3, but here how many vectors we are having? We are having 4 vectors. So, as I told you, any set of more than n vectors in n dimensional vector space is linearly dependent. So, they will be linearly dependent, because in R3 we are having 4 vectors. Now, 1 2 minus 1 minus 1 1 0 1 3 minus 1. So, again what I am having 1 2 minus 1, my next vector is minus 1 1 0 and my next vector is 1 3 minus 1. So, as I told you, use the same matrix method minus 1 1 0 1 3 minus 1. Change it in row echelon form. So, make this 0 and make this 0. So, R2 replaced by R2 plus R1 and R3 replaced by R3 minus R1. So, 1 2 minus 1 1 0, 1 plus 2 3, 0 minus 1, 1 minus 1 0, 3 minus 2 1 and minus 1 plus 1 0. Again make this vector 0. So, what I will do, R3 replaced by R3 minus 1 by 3 R2. So, 1 2 minus 1 0 3 minus 1 0 1 minus 1 0 and this will become plus 1 by 3. So, you can see all the 3 though are non-zero and the matrix reduce into row echelon form. So, these 3 vectors are linearly independent.